Alright. I think it's going. Did I get it? Did I do all the buttons? I think I've done it, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show, Pastafarians. It's me, Schizophrenic Mitch. Today is Friday, which is, of course, the holiest of days. I am a Pastafarian street preacher. I've been preaching about the flying spaghetti monster since about March of '06. Is that right? Maybe November of '05. I mean, 015, my apologies, not '06. 016. 12,016. Sorry for misspeaking there. My sincerest apologies. I'm trying to read it off these notes here. But it's sort of very difficult to read and do all these knobs and push all these buttons at the same time. Oh, I've got to turn this off. I turned off the wrong thing. Do let me know if the sounds that we're hearing are too bingy bongy, driving you crazy. Alright. I'm a real preacher, so don't worry, you're in good hands. I've been doing this quite a bit. This is our Friday stream, and we're going to take it very, very seriously. Generally, we have a thing that we do that we like to call radio show, where we just sit around and talk to Christians about what they believe and why they believe, and we help them realize that what they're doing is incredibly evil, and help them recover from their myth addiction. But that, of course, is not what we're doing today. What we're doing today is we're worshipping, for I find that humans quite enjoy worshipping. Myself included. Some humans, I guess. And we're also invoking the creator of all of reality, which is, of course, an impossible act. So we'll be doing something here at the end of the show that is absolutely impossible and cannot be done. And I make the distinction of those two things, for the one is not the other. I want to point out that I am accused of worshipping things that I do not worship. Many people come up to me and say, oh, well, if you don't worship Jesus, you worship this other thing called Satan. That's absolutely incorrect. That is a false dichotomy that only children would accept. And as everybody knows, only the Sith deal in absolutes. There's absolutely nobody else who would dare do something like that. And remember, there are only two at a time. There are only ever two Sith. So only two people in the world ever absolutely deal in absolutes. We can thank what, Yoda for that? Who said that shit? Who gave us that shit? It's garbage. Yeah. Anyway, what was I talking about? The difference between worship and invocation. Because I don't worship Satan, I worship truth. Hey. There is we as worshippers, it's our own affliction, it's our own personal responsibility to make sure that our tendency to worship does not get in the way of our understanding of reality or the happiness of the people around us. We can't steal from them because we need to whatever, do that thing I was talking about. I saw some candy because it's Halloween. Joe says, do not eat candy on this show. You can eat candy on radio show, but not this one. The FCC can't censor me for this, can they? Come on. The NSA is always trying to get us. Anyway, right here I've got my very cherry color. And I'm eating my Halloween candy because
it's the day after Halloween.
It's the day after Halloween, and that's when I bought the candy. That's the kind of old fucking man I am. I was like, hey, trying to get rid of all that, eh? And they're like, yeah, 75% off. I'm like, that's right, bitch. I'm eating so many caramels today. I don't have to eat real food for like 48 hours. Meridian Heights appreciates the sounds. The Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster of Latter-day Pirates is here. Hello. Welcome to the show. This is the serious show. This is the show where we're not allowed to listen to music, where I've got to talk about serious topics only, or Joe gives me, like, looks. So to those people who have not been to any of my shows before, if this is your first, pardon me, your first time here, thanks for coming. This is a good one. These are the ones you're supposed to come to, the Friday ones. Whoever invited you to this invited you to the correct one. Way to go. Way to have good friends. And so, yeah, we'll be going over the very fundamental stuff here. Fundamental stuff. We'll be talking about rituals. We'll be talking about worship. We'll be talking about placebo. We'll be talking about optometrician. What is it? Confirmation bias.
Tina Fey.
We'll be talking about Tina Fey. Yeah. So usually, if I had my druthers, we'd be listening to music, I'd have a couple hymns here, maybe a couple hymns, and I'd really pull on your heartstrings that way with music and poetry. But since all the old people in suits are trying to make this make money, they're all like, if you're gonna do it like this, you're gonna do it like this. You've got to do it like that, they say. You've got to do it with a wiffle ball bat. Did I already do that joke today, even, right?
No, yes.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. So, no music. Instead, we got the Tweety Birds. We got the fucking Blingy Blondes. But those are probably copyrighted, so thank you very much, the Somerset Group fan page for Wind Song, Wind Chimes in a Gentle Breeze by Dan Gibson. Thanks very much, Dan Gibson. If you're going to send the FCC on us, fuck. But anyway, this is the right show to tune into. We're doing the very, very fundamental shit. So, like I was saying, we seem to be, some of us, condemned to desire to worship. We couldn't stop if we wanted to. And worship is a very, very dangerous thing to do, right? We need to take responsibility for that. It's a thing I want to do. I want to worship. Like, alright, well, a lot of people have gone real fucking crazy worshipping some real crazy shit. So, you know, pick something good. I'm not telling you what to worship, I'm telling you what not to worship, eh? I've only found 3 things, totally worthy of my worship. One of them is truth. Never bites me, you know what I mean? And another one is conversation. Both of these things are very worthy of worship. And I'm not telling you to worship them. I'm saying, prove to me that what you worship is not more dangerous than this shit. That's what I'm saying. Come up with other ideas. I'm just working on these 2. There's a lot of others. You know. I'm not gonna find them all. There's enough for me. This takes care of my itch. And if you're like, well, I'm gonna come up with my own, go ahead. It's fine. I don't give a shit. You know. I mean, unless it's like, you know, I worship death, right? It's not worthy of your worship, right? It's got to be worthy, eh? Come on.
Collaborative and
yeah, so I worship truth. And so this here is not your ritual, it's mine. This is my ritual that you guys have joined. I've invited you. I'm not saying you're intruding or anything like that. I'm just saying this is mine. Don't think of it as yours. Although maybe for your ritual you listen to a crazy guy. That's your ritual. See how it's different? It looks different from your point of view than it is from mine, right? And so that's the point, is find your rituals. These are the rituals. That's right, every week. Every single week. I worked hard on that one. I paid $500 for that joke. I'm gonna get my money's worth. So I'm very good at this, I'm very good at this, this sort of bit here. I do confess that I'm parroting a bit that I did for another organization. I'm stealing a lot of these ideas from the sort of people that taught me how to brainwash. And so, you know, I do apologize if you think You know, this really feels like he's being mean to a very certain group of people. I understand that. But, I don't think it is that. I think it's going with what I know. I think it's, doing the trick as it was taught to me, eh? Because you can talk about cups and balls, but you only call it cups and balls because that's what you learned on, eh? Other people call it, like, peas and nuts, right? Shells and foam balls. Foam. Like, who knows what they call it because they use different shit. But today I'm going to perform one of the greatest illusions of all time, and that illusion is that the creator of reality wants to be in the room with you. And part of the problem is that if you're counting it as real, you've got to also count it when it's fake. You cannot give in to confirmation bias, and I think that's the problem that a lot of us have, is that when we go into these big meetings in these cold rooms and these weird clothes with these strangers doing strange things, we feel something we don't usually feel. It's like, yeah, yeah, you do.
You will.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. It's bound to happen. You're gonna feel something. But I mean, unless you're willing to go into every fucking weird cold room where freaky people talking weird clothes about freaky shit and feel all that shit too, you're just going to be relying on confirmation bias.
You're not going to realize you'll feel it everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's
sincere time.
It's here. It's here. It's where sincerity is. You bring it with you, eh? And you do it to yourself, and I'm going to do it to you here. I'm going to make you feel the creator of reality in the room there with you. It's totally impossible. It can't be done. And I tell you straight, he doesn't want to be. I'm going to make him show up, right? I'm going to make him want to. Right now, he just wants to fucking be left alone, and it's like, well, cool, but we keep fucking dabbling in shit that's fucking none of our business. And we feel lonely without you, O Creator, so we're going to make you show up in our hearts. And if you feel it, great. And if you don't feel it, well, fucking fine. I don't mind. Maybe then you can make me feel the noodly appendages of the flying spaghetti monster with your divine words. Let's fucking go back and forth. But if you do feel it, you'll know that I can do it. That what I say is true. That I can make you feel. I can invoke the creator of this reality. The creator of good and truth and love. The Father, as it were. That we are all siblings. If we are all siblings, who is our father? Of course, the flying spaghetti monster. Who is also our mother as well. So, because those words are very terrestrial words.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people go from one thing to another very, very quickly, and I want to point out that here in the cult of the flying spaghetti monster, we do not believe this thing. Many Christians say to me, he created you, so you have to obey him. And I find that to be, I find that to not follow whatsoever. Flying Spaghetti Monster created you with the ability to not obey him, because that's what he wanted you to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he wanted you to, quote, obey him, he would have made that be what you do, right? There's no such thing as obedience with the flying spaghetti monster. Everyone who worships obedience is fucking part of a cult of irresponsibility, where they're trying to not be responsible for the evil things that they feel they have done, and unfortunately, they always will be. There is no blood ritual that will absolve them of their responsibility for those things that they perceive that they have done as evil. That is their burden forever. You don't get to trade it in. So all the people who are trying to are fucking grasping at straws and living lies and fucking trying to overlay on this reality a mythology.
Distract and avoid.
Yes. Never get to the end of the conversation where we say, what if these sins are yours forever? What then will you do? We never get to be at that part of the conversation. What if you were responsible? What would that look like? Because I would wager fucking dollars to donuts that you're more moral than that fucking book you worship. I am perfectly okay with my confirmation bias. It's not a bad one, says Meridian Heights. I give consent and thanks for your assistance. Oh yeah, well, we do have to talk about consent in a minute, and I appreciate your comment and your consent. The point though is to be cognizant of your confirmation bias, and that's all you need to do. You need to acknowledge it, and fucking say the phrase, and point at it, and if you don't, it's a lens you're looking through. If it's not a lens you're pointing at, it's a lens you're looking through. Your confirmation bias. So merely being aware of it might be the step, eh? Might be. And that might be with a lot of these behaviors. Merely being aware that dehumanizing people serves no other purpose than to walk them closer to the fucking plank, right? You know? There's no other use for that idea other than, you know, get the whisper game to turn it into kill this person for me, right?
Yeah.
So don't do it. And maybe just knowing that idea alters behavior, right? So the more you say it, hey, the more you're changing the planet. So let's talk a little bit about consent, because I did not consent to becoming a Mormon. I did not consent to having my dick cut off. And I'm very, very, or the tip of my dick cut off, my whole dick, no, tip of my dick. I'm talking about circumcision, I'm not I am making oblique references to circumcision. I'm not talking about any kind of weird, kinky Mormon thing they did. Although it is weird and kinky. Be like, you know what, why don't we cut the tip of this kid's dick off? It's weird and kinky. But I didn't consent to that. I'm really upset about it. Like, I'm really bummed about it. I'm like, and I can't go to anyone and be like, I would have chosen something different. They'll all be like, well, okay. They won't be like, oh, whoops, sorry, bro. Right? There's nowhere to go for that. And so I'm really sort of butthurt about that, you know? And but then here I come, and I'm going to convert some of you against your will, because conversion into the cult of the Flying Spaghetti Monster is you have to want to be, eh? It's not a show where you like sign up and you like plan it and you get the flowers for it and then you're a fucking Pastafarian, you know? It's like it happens before you really consent to it. And so as far as like I'm part of that for a lot of people, and maybe today, right? Maybe this video is going out and someone will be like, this was a good one, you should listen to it, and fucking someone will be like, alright, it's only what, 40 minutes? Alright, you can make me feel something in 40 minutes. And they don't want to, right? And then they do feel it, you know, coming up at the end when we invoke the Flying Spaghetti Monster, and you feel something, and you're like, oh shit. This guy told me he was making it up. He told me it was fake. He told me what was going to happen. And it still fucking happened. I guess I'm a Pastafarian. Didn't want to be. So, that happens to you. I'm kind of sorry, and I'm really kind of not. So don't know what to do about this. This is kind of the conversation is... Religion is not about consent. Religion is you just sort of dealing with the things you know. Right? When I saw through the fucking sham that Saul was pulling over on the fucking daughters and maybe sons of those people who like to come and see his plays or whatever, his religious sermons. You know, when I saw through that, I'm like, oh, he's just this traveling dude that likes to fucking make sure he's got a room for him when he arrives. Right? And maybe some young people to hang out with. It's really disappointing. I didn't choose it, right? It was a sort of, I didn't consent to a better understanding of sort of what Joseph Smith was up to, right? I just understood it better. And I was like, oh shit, I'm post-Mormon now, right? So if today is the day, if because I say these things a lot, but it's only once a week that it really comes tight like this, and we make something worth sharing, or close to worth sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Although do check out this channel coming up. We're doing some really good like once a month high production value shit. I've got this editor and this writer on it, and so check it out. Little self plug there. Check this space. But yeah, if you're like, if you're thinking right now, I'm not gonna feel anything, and then I'll prove this guy false, and then you do feel something, and you're like, oh shit, now it's complicated. I'm sorry, but that's the whole point of this conversation, isn't it? Like, what the fuck is going on? Why are these people so religious? How can a billion people over here say, I suck Jesus' dick, and a billion over here people say, I suck Muhammad's dick? Because obviously it's a much better dick. Like, and they're gonna kill each other for it? Like, I'm a slave to this, I'm a slave to that, you gotta die. My master says kill you. Like, how is that possible in a human mind? We have to control that, we have to cure that, or that is what's going to kill us. Okay? We get to escape this planet, or we get to die on this planet. And when we look out into the stars, we can't see anyone that escaped the planet, So let's not be like that, alright? When we look out there, we don't see anyone who can do it. So that's fucking us, right? That's humans, right? Against all odds. Those are the odds we like. So come on, humans. Let's get control of this religious bullshit that we have, this addiction that we have. Let's be responsible for it. Let's make it do good, instead of allow it to prey on our worst parts, allow such hatred from it, let's cause it. Let's tell it what to give us instead of take what it gets and don't throw a fit, What bullshit. So anyway, I worship truth. And as an exercise of truth, I like to do things that are not true. Because I know the difference between reality and fantasy. And I enjoy fantasy. And so here's a little bit of fantasy, ladies and gentlemen. Before this universe even was, before time was a thing, before, in the space where before makes no sense, the flying spaghetti monster got really fucking drunk. And who knows what he was thinking, and who knows why, but he said, let there be this fucking universe, and boom, there it was. And he's been trying to get away ever since then, and we keep fucking calling him back and telling him to leave. We're a really weird fucking bunch, right? But, it's impossible to understand how much love is capable from this being, because he's so external to the universe, right? It very well could be that the entire universe is internal to him, as it were. Could very well be. It's hard to know. It's hard to know if there is anything that is not the flying spaghetti monster, And, it feels really good when we cause him to come into our room and make him tell us how much he loves us. So I'm going to attempt to do that today. And it's a thing that I'm addicted to. I do it because I love it. It feels really good to me. I was addicted to it at a very young age, against my will, like I said. And it caused me to make many, 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 many decisions in my life. Many decisions. Decisions that I would take back. Though that's neither here nor there. But my whole life has been incredibly religious. People look at me and they say, Mitchell, you're not religious, you're a Pastafarian. And I'm saying, I'm the fucking most Pastafarian you've ever met, motherfucker. I'm so religious. I am still addicted to this shit. I have a very addicted personality, you might have discerned. And religion is one of my greatest ones. Once for 750 days in a row, I played a character. I shilled Mormonism door to door for 750 days. And during those days, I did not masturbate. So fuck you, fucking No Nut November. I had No Nut 1999. So fuck you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've done my time, you bastards.
Yeah.
I'm nutting all over November. Fuck you, November.
For like 10 years, I had no nut every 6 months. For
That's
6
right.
months.
There was this time where every time I fucking masturbated, I had to go tell an old man about it, and he's like, yeah?
Yep.
What panties were you wearing? No, that was you, right?
That was me.
So that's why I do it, because I'm addicted. I am tickling my addiction here. I'm not saying you should be addicted. I'm saying I should be embarrassed of my addiction. But if you're also addicted, come do it with me, eh? Let's invoke the creator of this reality. Let's have the Flying Spaghetti Monster prove to us that we are on the right track. Let's have the Flying Spaghetti Monster show us that, indeed, our will is his will. And if it makes me emotional, if it makes me choke up and act all strange and embarrassing, you know, my apologies, eh? That's how I react to this shit. I'm going to blow my nose now. Do pardon me. My now. So I'm doing this because this is my ritual, like I'm saying. And we are ritualistic people. I've lived 40 years so far. Maybe 41. It's hard for me to keep count. Like, the beginning is really fuzzy. And, there's just things that happen so many times during that time that there's no other way to do it except ritualistically. You know, like, it just becomes a ritual if you've done it the many thousands of times that a human does do some things. And so, please, another thing that you've got to take control of, not just your fucking confirmation bias, but is your fucking ritualistic bias, right? You can have your rituals, but they'll give you a bias. You must have your rituals, my apologies, but they will fucking cause you a bias, and then you must fucking, I don't know, correct it, or be aware of it, or whatever. Be responsible for that bias. And religion teaches us to not, over and over again, not be responsible for these very worst tendencies of us, eh? The tendency of ours to want death not to be a thing. The tendency of ours to, you know, hope for a perfect future. To see those people that we miss again. It's very, very strong, but I don't know, basest, primitive, I don't know, adolescent ideas. I don't mean to speak ill of them, but they are definitely not the decision makers, eh? The fears, let's say. I don't know what they are, but they're not. They're a different sort of tendency than, I really should be able to deliver something, a nice experience for my kid, right? That's a totally different motivator than, I really wish that the oblivion that awaits me is not as real as it feels. I hope someone catches me at the end and saves the very essence of me and puts me in a place where everything's perfect. That's not a very adult thing to think, right? Mm-hmm. I very much do hope that Santa Claus comes down the chimney and gives me that very one thing that I want. Is a beautiful thought, but childish, I suppose. And so, you know, we can't let these motivators drive us to things that cause such blinders, eh? Such reality we have to ignore in order to keep them real enough to believe. So, you know, take responsibility for those parts of you that would tend to wish for fantasy other than reality, right? We can tell the difference, and unfortunately, there's no dragons, eh? We don't get to discover the dragons. We like they were real the whole time, right? Mm-hmm. There's no Ifrits, and you know, there's no demons. You know, there's good sides to it. It's just us down here. This is what it looks like. So let's find the solutions that work in the real world, eh? And that is one of them is admit we're ritualistic, admit that we're fucking confirmation bias, and that be responsible for it. And so, here am I being responsible for this. I've got to prove often and often and often that I know what the fuck I'm talking about by bringing the creator of reality into the room with us and making us feel his warm and noodly appendages in our hearts. And of course, the way to do that is with a prayer, with an invocation. And I will be doing that, as is my station, as is my office, as prophet of the cult of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, as guru and shaman of and accredited minestrone of the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. I will now invoke the creator of all that which is impossible, that which your mind cannot even contain, the Flying Spaghetti Monster. Again, I apologize if I become over-emotional. It is very embarrassing for me. Oh, Flying Spaghetti Monster! Oh, creator of all! Oh, imaginer of love and light! We beg you, we implore you to come into our hearts, into our lives at this moment, so that we may commune with thee! And I'm sorry about the mixed signals, but also thank you for getting the fuck out of our lives and leaving us alone and all of these things. We notice you stalking us every week, Flying Spaghetti Monster, giving us these beneficial coincidences that can't be coincidences, that can't they? These things that make our lives more blessed and wonderful and happy, and there is no one to thank Flying Spaghetti Monster except for you. And so we thank you and we say again, fuck off. Please let coincidence allow itself into our lives. For your divine intervention is neither welcome nor safe, nor a good thing that we should want in our lives. For Flying Spaghetti Monster, we, as aspiring adults, hope to be able to take responsibility for all that we are. Flying Spaghetti Monster, take responsibility for all that we think and do, and clean our messes. Flying Spaghetti Monster, please do allow us to take responsibility for our exhausts and our exhales and our excrements. Please allow us to keep our space as clean. Please allow us the knowledge and understanding to keep our space as clean as possible, such that we are not a stain upon this real estate that we are renting from reality. Please let the marks that we leave upon this earth be those that we will, instead of those that we refuse to see. Please help us as we walk forward with eyes wide into the future, and greet the surprises with joy and relish and happiness, with a celebration of being in the present. Flying Spaghetti Monster, please help us as we attempt to find the songs and the hymns and the jokes and the conversations that will wake our neighbors from their ancient slumber. Please help us as we refine the conversation, as we build the language together, that we will communicate with each other more fully and more deeply and more passionately. Please allow us to see the future with the clearest and the widest eyes that we dare possess. In the name of truth, in the name of love, and in the name of Flying Spaghetti Monster, I say these things. Ramen. Well, Pastafarians, I thank you very much for joining me for that. And I remind you again that this is my ritual. This is a ritual, as it were. And though I appreciate your both your reverence and interest, I invite you now to think about your own rituals, your own weekly sort of observances, and what you would want them to look like, and what you would want them to accomplish. And I don't want to invade that, so I invite you to do it here, with Dan Gibson's Wind Song, Wind Chimes in a Gentle Breeze. Alright, Pastafarians, thank you very much for coming by today. For those of you who just became Pastafarian because you just, for the first time in your life, recognize that you have felt the warm and saucy noodly appendages of the flying spaghetti monster touching you in your heart, or during my sermon, or during the prayer, or during the invocation, any part of that, during your own ritual there, if you felt any sort of warmth in your heart, and you can't give another name to it because it's definitely not the Holy Ghost, because he's not invited here, for Jesus was a liar, so it must have been the flying spaghetti monster, and I am, of course, his prophet, and of course you are too. So please start writing your scriptures, please start being responsible for your rituals and your confirmation biases, and if you do want to talk about your experience here, and what it means, and how to be a Pastafarian, and what you want to do, hang out with us for radio show, which we do practically every other day during the week, and you can also hit me up on like Twitter and stuff, and we can talk about what Pastafarianism is and what Pastafarianism isn't. Thank you very much for coming by. Thank you for joining me in this exercise of spirituality. I did not choose to be a spiritual person, and yet every day I'm incredibly spiritual and emotional, and I can still be a good person. I think I can take responsibility for that and make it do good in this reality. And thank you for supporting me in that, and let me know how I can support you in your Pastafarianism too. And yeah, do check out Steve Moser over there in Cincinnati, working hard against the man for definition of religious rights. Yeah, thanks, Pastafarians. See you next week. Do you want to say goodbye, Joe?
Bye.
Yeah, bye.